I think when I look at the last year in Latin America, obviously there was a great deal of interest in this story, but for most of the region, with the exception of one extremely important country, I think the reaction was quickly muted. The countries that have worked with us closely on issues of security, such as the Colombians or Mexico, for example, pretty much reacted with some concern, but muted concern, very parallel to some of the reactions from our other partners and allies. Countries that have been more critical of the United States, particularly the Bolivarian bloc, were also, interestingly enough, relatively muted because they kind of assumed this was going on all the time, the whole time, so they weren't really particularly surprised. But in the one case where it really made a major difference was in our relationship with Brazil. And I think this is particularly important because the U.S. and Brazil had been engaged previous to these revelations in an intense process for many years, especially during the Obama and Rousseff administrations, in intensifying relationships across a series of important domains: trade, economics, education, and international security and global issues. And the Brazilian reaction to the revelations, especially President Rousseff's reaction to the revelations, was extremely critical, and it essentially led to a certain amount of paralysis taking hold in the U.S. Brazilian relationship. Both at the senior level, she postponed an official state visit to the United States that was scheduled to take place last October. At the government-to-government level, bilateral working groups, forums, slowed down or again were paralyzed. There hasn't been much progress there. And President Rousseff also announced a set of measures, as you mentioned in the introduction, that were designed or interpreted as asserting a more resilient internet, increasing domestic production of bandwidth, increasing domestic production of servers and equipment for the internet in Brazil, increasing connectivity to other parts of the world that sort of routed around the United States. And this was sort of viewed as part of Brazil trying to build some sort of effort to work around the United States on issues related to surveillance and the global internet. So that initial reaction even led to the President Rousseff using the UN General Assembly speech in October to denounce the United States and working with Germany on international digital privacy. More recently, though, I think we've seen a shift in Brazil's position, both an interest in getting past this issue in relations with the United States, maybe looking forward to next year, and also a very important global internet governance conference that took place in Rio de Janeiro, Net Mundial, in April, which showcased some very interesting shifts in Brazil's position in global internet governance, which is a related issue that's emerged as a result of the Snowden revelations, that I think portend for some very interesting Brazilian positions going forward.